Oh my gosh, we are live. Holy cow. Great to see you all in attendance. This is probably our most popular event so far, which is awesome. My name is Jonathan Geyer. I am here with Randall Wimmer, and together we Create Personal Equity, uh, which is awesome. It's our new branding business. Um, Let me start off with introductions, and then we'll give we'll describe our mission, like why why are we doing this. We could be doing other things. Why are we doing what? Why did we create personal equity? And then we'll go into branding assessments. Randy and I were just talking right before this live, and we're kind of spitballing, throwing things at the wall, like how can we provide our audience the most value in this launch webinar. And where we're at is brand assessment. Like, step one, figure out where you're currently at. Like, where do you stand today? Why? Because that gives you a unit of measure for where you can be, where you could be, right? Like if if you follow these strategies, like if you dedicate yourself to if you invest into yourself the way that Randy and I did independently, we're working together, but we did this separately. These are two use cases. Two data points, I suppose. Evidence. Yeah. Two separate data points that our strategies work. We're morphing them together, and we kind of distilled it into a way that we could prescribe to other people. Uh, if you're able to, speaking from the audience perspective, if you're able to invest into yourself the way that Randy and I did, following this strategy, high probability you're going to pull off similar success. Everybody's goal is different, everybody's audience different, everybody's world is different, right? But on the I'm not sure if thematic, the second time I use that word today, I'm not sure if that applies, but the thematic goal, the main goal of personal branding applies regardless of your audience. It applies regardless of where you want to go. Like, the process is independent from the destination. And that's what Randy and I have distilled down into Create Personal Equity. It is the process, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Randy, I I haven't introduced myself yet, but I just did a lot of talking. If you'd like to jump in and throw an introduction on before.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So I'll introduce myself, and then I'll toss it back over to you.
Yes, sir.
So a little bit about myself. Served in the Navy for 10 years, got out. Then I got into federal government contracting, and I learned I learned things the hard way in federal government contracting. And then what I did is I ultimately committed to a process, a business model. And once I did that, I started to have some success. It wasn't about how well you wrote the proposal; it was about the process itself. You could write the best proposal in the world, but unless you were in the right market, selling the right goods at the right price, it didn't matter. It was all about the process. And I had success in the federal government contracting industry, and I launched and sold a few companies there. And then I launched Government Contracting Academy. And they say you never truly learn how to do something until you try to teach somebody. Well, I retired in 2020. I had just sold my third company, and I made enough money. I don't need any more money. My kids don't need any more money. They don't know that yet, but they don't. And the deal is I wanted to give back to the community, so I launched Government Contracting Academy. So I'm launching Government Contracting Academy, and I'm teaching people the process. And I realized that you can teach them the process, but unless people know that your company's special, that you've got the differentiators, the discriminators, the proof points, that you're going to succeed and be successful as part of their bid team or their contract team or as the government's prime contractor, it doesn't matter. And that was the biggest challenge that I saw people that I was working with try to overcome. How do they brand themselves to help their company? Because again, you could be Cinderella, but trust me when I say this, Prince Charming isn't going to come knocking on your door. That is a fairy tale. The reality is Cinderella, if she wanted to land Prince Charming, she's knocking on doors looking for him. You got to put yourself out there. She had to at least go to the ball, and a lot of the people that I work with, they're hesitant to do that, and then when they try to do that, they're not doing it right. So I did market research, like saying, hey, let's get these people some good, personal branding help, and I was ridiculously disappointed with the branding companies that are out there. They all focus on content and mediums. That's all they it's like, if you follow their, again, I'm not going to be too critical of them, because I didn't pay them, nearly 6 digits in order to figure out what they really show, but they're using models that focus exclusively on content and mediums. And if you just focus on that, you're going to end up making cat videos. I'm being serious, and the reason why that is because you got to be authentic. Well, I authentically love cats. That doesn't that's not helping me achieve my goals. Well, you've got to be consistent in your messages. Well, I'm consistent in posting cat messages, and you follow all these models, and they're going to point you to getting clicks. Clicks are meaningless.
Yeah.
What we have tried to do, is we have tried to provide our clients with a goal map. Help them define what their goals are, and then use personal branding as the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way to achieve those goals. And that's where I think we're different, and the market void that we're filling is you don't do personal branding for clicks. You do personal branding to achieve your goals, whatever those goals are. Whether you're that mid-level, professional, and you're looking for that promotion because you haven't been promoted in years. If you're that entrepreneur and you're looking to grow your small business, or let's say you're a personal coach or a life coach or career coach, and you want to grow your coaching business, you need to have credibility and a reputation. If you want to get a book published, getting a book published now has very little to do with your book and how many copies that you can sell yourself. It's all about your following. Whether or not you want to become a keynote speaker, or if you want to become an influencer yourself, all those different things, those are your goals, and your personal branding has got to be mapped to that. You've got to have a targeted network, that has to have certain observations to be able to advocate on your behalf. And there's content that they have to have, and the content's got to be on the mediums that they use, or they give you the most credibility. And this can't just be from you; it's got to be from other sources. So what Jonathan and I did is we decided that there is a massive void in this market.
Yes.
Personal branding is not about getting clicks. It's about helping you achieve your professional and personal goals. And so what we did is we created a process based on a ton of research, but it's holistic research. It's like, it's not about getting clicks. Yeah, there's things in, obviously our process includes creating engaging content, but it's engaging to the network types that you need to be engaging with that content, not just people watching cat videos. So that was a little bit long-winded introduction of myself, but I really do believe that there is a tremendous market void where people are selling, programs to help you get clicks, and not about helping you achieve your goals. And there's a big time difference between the two.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to introduce myself here in a second, but my thing is deep thoughts. And I think you just touched on one of those: measurement bias, right? Like the vast majority of the market does focus on likes and clicks because it's easy to see. So like we intuitively think that that's good because it's easy to see, but that's not the reality of it. And the origin of Create Personal Equity, I have professionals, executives, White House staff are reaching out to me, asking me what they can do to improve their brands, right? And the theme of those conversations are they don't want to post stuff, or they don't want to post bad things, right? They don't want to post things that are just cheesy and that could go nowhere. Like it's and it has to be the level of quality has to
Oh,
be.
yeah. I tell people, like, hey, you're going to have a first impression, but is it the first impression you want to have? And I'm telling you, you can get 1,000 views, a gazillion views off cat videos, But if your goal is to become a CEO, of a serious company, those boards of directors, they're they're going to see your cat videos and they're going to automatically say, oh, they're not, he's not the person we need. And there's a difference between leaving an impression and leaving a helpful impression, one that is going to help you achieve your goals. And it's easy to leave an impression in this world. It really is. All you got to do is just do the most bizarre, crazy, stupid things, and or you feed into whatever's going viral at that particular time. But again, it's just an impression. It's not a positive impression. It's not creating equity in your brand, in yourself. And I tell you, the more research I do, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Jonathan. I'm just so passionate about this stuff. The more I feel like it's kind of crazy. I did not get into personal branding until after I had some, professional success, and everybody said, "Well, Randy, you didn't need it." Well, it took me 8 years. It took me 8 years to make my first dollar bill on a prime contract as my, through my small business. Why? Because nobody knew me. Nobody knew my company. Nobody knew what we could do. Nobody knew that they could trust us. We didn't have a reputation. I had a resume. I had a great resume, when I launched my first company, but nobody reads your resume. Your resume is not posted for everybody to read, but your online presence, your reputation is, and there's a big difference. 85% of the people who even do read your resume aren't even qualified to interpret what's on it. That's crazy. That's even if it's read, so it's all about reputation. It has nothing to do with resume.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that's we can segue off of that into my introduction. My name is Jonathan Geyer. I helped implement a health information exchange for the state of Minnesota. In that opportunity, I leveraged LinkedIn. I leveraged my personal brand to steer Congress, the United States Congress, into approving this $100 million program. Did it work? Yes, it did. Yeah. And that's part of what we were talking about. That's part of the origin story of Create Personal Equity. I used the personal brand that I established on LinkedIn to influence the most powerful people in the world. And I did it from, it's in that situation, in that example, it's very significant, or the correlation to personal branding and the outcomes that we achieved is significant. It's positive.
Yeah. Well, my story, my origin story is less altruistic, and more brutal. Because this is when I realized I had no personal brand and that I was doing things way wrong with respect to creating personal equity. I had just sold in 2020. Let me just tell you the previous 5 years of my life. So from 2015 through 2020. I had made literally billions of dollars in federal government contracts. I had, launched, numerous federal government contracting companies, ended up selling 3 of them. And they had all, collectively, were awarded over $400 million in small business set-aside contracts, leading, again, to 3 different successful acquisitions. I launched 2 other non-federal government contracting companies that were also successful. And my nonprofit organization was awarded the President George H.W. Bush Points of Light Award, our nation's most prestigious award for nonprofits and volunteerism. So, I'm coming off that crest of success. And when I sold my last company and I cleared all my non-competes, I thought to myself, well, I'm going to retire. I got all the money I needed to have, but let's just see what kind of opportunities are going to come my way. Because I just assumed I would. I had done a few things in the previous several years, and I just thought that was worthy of maybe receiving a few opportunities. I received none. And then I got a master's degree in operations research, which means, basically nobody knows what operations research is. It's basically you apply math and analytic rigor to problem solving. So that's what I did. I said, like, hey man, there's a problem, because I have a resume that definitely warrants to have had people reach out to me for opportunities. And I started to do research, and one of my things I did is I Googled myself to do a brand assessment. That's It's the simplest thing you can do to start a brand assessment. Just Google yourself. And I Googled myself, and I was nowhere to be found. In fact, this is when I realized how bad I was. In the 1980s, I had a distant cousin with my same name, Randy Wimmer, and his obituary from the 1980s ranked higher in SEO on Google than anything that I had done. Anything. To say that I was outdone, I was outperformed online, I was, by somebody who was inactive, was the understatement of the year. There was a dead person who had been dead for over 40 years who had a better online reputation than I did. Not think about that. This guy was not only inactive, he was dead, and he had a better personal brand than I did. And he grew up in Southwestern Virginia. And believe me when I say that there wasn't anything going on in Southwestern Virginia in the 1980s for him to be associated with. So that's when I realized that I had no personal brand. And that's when Jonathan and I started working together. And I started creating a little bit of a personal brand. And now I have opportunities, a few years later, I have opportunities coming in every 1 to 2 months, with people, asking me if I'm interested in maybe running this major business unit or running their company or whatever. And I recently had somebody wanting to invest in my, I literally got this 2 days ago. I got somebody, it was an investment firm. They asked me if they could invest in a startup that they wanted me to launch. And I'm thinking like, no, I'm out of that. I'm doing create personal equity now. So that's the difference between having a personal brand and not. I had a big fat resume. I had a resume that certainly warranted opportunities, and but I had no reputation, and reputation trumps resume every single time, because nobody will ever see your resume. Posting your resume on a job board, useless, senseless. Why? Because it's going to be read by people who can't even interpret your resume. So that's when I really got excited about Create Personal Equity and the lives that we could change by creating this company. So that's kind of like my origin story with the why is like I realized I had no personal brand, and in these last few years have been a journey to create one. Actually, as part of Government Contracting Academy, to show people how to do it and how to effectively leverage your personal brand for small business success. So,
oh my gosh, empathetically walking in our audience, our target audience's shoes, you were successful when this story took place. Like business wise, you were successful when you sold and found out that you did not have a brand. Nobody, like you were business wise, you were measurably at the top. Like you were successful when you found out that you were not successful on
well, yeah, I had this is what I realized. I realized that I had a really strong reputation within my company, within a small circle of partners
good way to
and
say it.
customers. That was it. And I was a government contracting company, but the federal government is massive, 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 and a tiny little speck of it thought highly of me. And because they thought highly of me, they thought highly of my company, and they gave a lot of work to my companies. Same way with partners. There's out of this whole $1 trillion industry of federal government contracting, a tiny little speck of industry leaders, knew me. Honestly, because we bumped into each other, because we talked to each other, we saw each other. Wasn't anything online. We had physical contact. So a small, tiny little it's like pinprick of a size market, in the market space of people actually knew me. That was my reputation. My reputation was only with just literally a handful of people. But again, I used a process, and that tiny little speck of people were the right people that I needed.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean, to accomplish my goals. And so what I'm adding to this is I understand the process. I understood the people I needed to really truly influence. in order to get to accomplish my goals. I knew what they needed to see of me. And, so I'm thinking like, if I could apply this process, but I could 100x it by actually having purposeful content, going out there for not just a tiny little speck of people to see, but for the entire industry to see. I think about how much I could have grown my companies if I could have just scaled my brand, because my brand was really, really, really good, but it was only good for about this many people to see it. And even that was enough for me to, sell, to sell 3 federal government contracting companies for, 6 to 8 figures each. And so it's like, those are some really great successes, but then I also wonder about what it could have been. And that kind of, I have zero regret if anything I've done in my life. I've been more fortunate than most. But if there is anything that comes to regret, is I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have done this 15, 20 years ago, when I really could have just done something just absolutely, truly wonderful.
Oh my gosh. I can segue off of that. So I am a LinkedIn top voice, right? I am one of 300 people in North America that was able to achieve this level account. I have the same account as the president of the United States, right? And along those lines, because of this personal branding, the success that the success that I've had on this front, on this topic that we're talking about, I wrote the White House yesterday. Coincidentally, we didn't plan this part of the conversation. It's a coincidence that you brought that up. But I tagged the White House and the executive office of the president in a personal a LinkedIn post that I did along this topic. Is it better to be connected to 100 members, lower members? Is it better to be connected to 100 janitors at the White House or one U.S. president? Right? Is it and I'm speaking, I was thinking of the cat videos point when I wrote that. Is it better to have a bunch of low content, standard content, cheesy content, just kind of thrown off into the air, or to be very targeted, to be very specific, to have goals, and then like have that target audience in mind, and then incrementally step towards that target? Fast iteration in SpaceX just came to mind too. Like, that where are you trying to get? Are you trying to get to Mars? Because it can happen, right? It's just a matter of creating the plan. Yeah.
What I was hoping to do is, I was not what I would call a true believer of marketing, and what I was hoping to do, Jonathan, because we're kind of winging this a little bit. If you haven't caught on, we just jump in and just talk. Honestly, I believe that's, instead of bludgeoning people with a PowerPoint presentation, I believe I think you can get better content, better information just through no kidding dialogue and conversation.
We know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So one of the things is personal brand. Everybody thinks it's just for influencers. Like, oh, I'm not a TikTok dancer. I'm not, I don't care about that. Let's just say you're an entrepreneur or you're a small business owner. Let me tell you some statistics about personal brands.
Oh, nice.
82% of investors research business founders and CEOs online before reaching a funding decision. That's from Harvard Business Review. LinkedIn optimized personal brands can generate up to 2 times more leads for entrepreneurs. That's a LinkedIn report. 75% of customers say they are more likely to support businesses with founders they recognize and trust because of their online presence and reputation. That's the Edelman's Trust Barometer. 65% of a small business growth comes from referrals, which come from a strong personal brand. KPMG. More than 50% of small businesses say the founder's personal brand is critical to the company's success. That's Forbes. CEOs with strong personal brands bring 10 to 15% more revenue to their companies due to their increased customer trust. That's from BrandFog. 66% of customers say that a founder's online presence affects their perception of the brand. That's Sprout Social. So, I can keep on going through here over and over and over about how your personal brand can improve your entrepreneurial success and increase your small business growth. Okay, so this is this personal branding for entrepreneurs and small business owners, which is different. No one size shoe fits all feet. So what we do is we create a customized process, and branding strategy for entrepreneurs and small business owners to achieve that goal. The successes that I just talked about. This right here is high earning employment opportunities. Those people who are looking for those really great job opportunities. How about this? 85% of jobs are filled through networking and personal connections, highlighting the role of personal branding. LinkedIn. 92% of people trust recommendations from individuals over brands, which applies to personal brands. That's Nielsen. Over 40% of recruiters are less likely to interview candidates without an online presence. So you're 40% less likely to get the interview unless you actually have a strong one. A well-established personal brand can lead to a 15% higher annual bonuses due to increased personal perceived value. 40% of professionals say personal branding has helped them negotiate higher salaries. Employees with personal brands have 30% more opportunities for salary increases. That's Harvard Business Review. 66% of executives say their earning potential increased with brand visibility. That's PricewaterhouseCoopers. 50% of hiring managers say a personal brand can increase starting salaries by as much as 10%. Career Builder. So personal branding for freelancers can lead to 35% higher profitability due to client retention and referrals. Individuals who post professional insights online are 28% more likely to be contacted by recruiters. So those are people who are looking for higher paying jobs, which is very similar to people who are looking for those very, very, very high level corporate jobs. So these are people who are looking for like C-suite jobs. 69% of executives believe a personal brand is more important than a resume for career advancement. That's from Korn Ferry, and they're the leading executive search firm. 56% of employers are more impressed by personal projects than formal qualifications. That ties into what have you done and tell me about what you've done as part of your personal brand. That's from Deloitte. 73% of employers report that candidates with strong personal brands seem more motivated. Forbes. 65% of C-suite executives believe personal branding is essential for career longevity. It's just over and over. And I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So when Jonathan and I, when we were doing our research about how personal brands can help every type of professional, it truly is amazing. I'm not going to go through the statistics for each one of these things, but if you want to become, if you want to become a successful life, career, or professional coach, and if you don't have a personal brand, stay at home. Think about a different occupation, because you have got to have a professional brand. Now I'm going to make myself a lie here. 88% of clients are more likely to hire coaches with an established personal brand and online presence than those without one. 88% more likely.
Oh my gosh, and I would think it's even higher, right?
Yeah, I would too.
Why would you hire somebody that's got nothing online? It's a threat. It's a
totally.
Risk.
And this is McKinsey, so and again, this is probably within confidence interval, so it probably is much higher.
Oh my gosh.
So there you have your personal coaches, your independent consultants. They fall in that same category. If you want to become a published author, again, publishing houses care less and less about your book. That's why they hire editors. And my wife went through this process. She went through a traditional publishing house for her book that she published. The number one thing that they look for is do you have a following where you can sell at least half of the books that we print? For that first printing, they expect you to sell over half of those through your own following. So it's not about your book. It's about how many people want to buy a book from you. It's not the book itself. It's wow, this person's got it going on and I want to read a book by them. And they know that, not because they read a review about your book written by, Penguin. It's because they know you or they know of you, and they know of you through your personal brand. Same way with paid speakers. If you're a keynote speaker, you want to do that the same way with that. So I tell you, it's the best career opportunities, entrepreneurship, executive, highly paid professionals, published authors, keynote speakers, all of those people, they are all dependent upon a very effective personal brand to continue to grow in their chosen, career path. And I didn't know that. I was completely oblivious to it. I'm thinking like, no, it's your proposal. It's how strongly, it's how well you can write a proposal. That's part of it. But this is what most people don't realize, even with government contracting. Half of your proposal score is risk. And guess who's the least risky?
Yeah.
The ones that have the best professional brand. They have the perception of being very, very, very low risk. So, even something as clinical as a source selection board in a federal government agency reviewing proposals, half of their rating deals with risk, which is directly related to your professional reputation, which is your personal brand. So, and that's the most clinical thing I can think of. That is, that they have a documented grading rubric that they use, and again, half of it pertains to your brand.
Oh my gosh, we are at 31 minutes now, and I didn't put an end time on this. So if you're okay with it, we can keep going. It'd be interesting to describe the overall theme for this meeting. We talked about just baseline the current state.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to describe the dream outcome, aligning with Alex Hormozi's goal. Like, what does it look like when your brand is good? When you've hit that point, it might be worth like illustrating that or illuminating.
Well, yeah. Can I walk us?
Yes, sir.
I got the process here. So let me see if I can pull up that process.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
Now let me see if I'm smart enough to hit the present button. Yes, let's share screen. Sure, why not?
And I just thought of this, the stats that we have for personal branding, the foundation, the statistical support we have. I'm going to email that out to everybody that signed up for this.
Right? Oh, perfect. That's great. That's perfect. So, so this is when you have a personal brand. Okay, can you see, Jonathan? Do I have it up right?
Nope. 1 moment. I got to open it up on my side.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we're good to go.
Perfect. So this is when you have a good brand, in my opinion. You have your documented goals, and then and it's got to be these goals. They've got to be real. They can't be like, hey, I want to be famous. I want to be internet famous. That's not a goal. Yeah. It's got to be tailored to a specific personal or professional objective. So, for example, I'll talk about an example here in a minute. But so it's all about your goals, because everything else is just purely academic at that point. If you're not achieving your goals from doing something, then why are you going to do it? You know what I mean? So it's all about your goals. And a lot of people, they jump in and they say, okay, where do we want to go? But they're already driving. It's like, well, you don't even know where you're going. How are you ever going to get there? So it all starts with the goal. And then the next thing is you got to identify your network that's going to help you achieve that goal. Again, these are the people that you want engaging with you online and through your content. And it's not people who are interested in cats. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's like, for example, if you wanted to become a CEO, we're talking about advisory board members or your boards of directors or small business owners or executive recruiters who recruit for C-level positions. Those are the kind of people who can help you achieve your goals. But in my opinion, there's three, even though there's literally over 10 different named network types, there's really, they fall into three broad categories. The first category is advocates. They're the ones who can actually help you achieve your goals. Again, those are the boards of directors that are making hiring decisions for the next CEO. But then you have enablers. Enablers are like your mentors. These are people who are helping you become a better, executive or professional, or they're the ones who we help people get what we call marquee mentors. These are people who already achieved what you're hoping to achieve, and we help you identify those and establish relationships with them. And they're the people who are going to kind of tell you where the landmines are, where to avoid them. And then everybody says, and this last group kind of falls into people that you're helping, mentees. Now, people always ask me this question, like, well, Randy, how is a person that I'm teaching, or I'm mentoring, or a group that's following my content, how is that helping me get that, accomplish that goal of becoming a CEO? Well, these advocates up here, they're watching you have 20,000 followers that you're engaging and that you're sharing content with. So what do they see? One, they're seeing you being a mentor. They see you giving back to the community, and they also see you as somebody who has influence. And those are those observable traits that are so important that they have to see, and that's just one of them. And having a whole bunch of mentees actually, is one of those observable traits that you want these people, your advocates, to see. They also want to see that you have character, that you're a subject matter expert, that you have executive leadership experience, whatever is relevant to, to that particular goal. So now the question is they've got to make these observations on some type of medium, whether that be LinkedIn, whether or not that be the, Google, through a Google search or through a professional forum, whatever that is. And then it's your content. Your content has got to be tailored to provide, your networks with your desired observations.
Sure.
Now, the other thing is I call the source. This is something else that everybody always seems to forget. They think it's all about me, 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 me. Well, your personal brand is, but if you're the only person or entity promulgating content regarding you, well, that looks pretty bad. So, having different sources, those are what I call force multipliers. For example, it could be a nonprofit organization that you launch. It could be becoming a guest speaker on various podcasts, where, now you've got this podcast content blasting out, and it's not from you, it's from the podcast. It could be a press release, or a series of press releases. It could be a website. It could be a book. It could be your author's website. It could be all these different sources of information that's about indirectly you. Sometimes it's directly about you, but frequently it's indirectly about you, because that helps build that mosaic of the picture that you want your network to see, the people who are going to help you achieve your goal. And again, this is probably the most powerful. If you don't remember anything from what we say today, this is probably the most powerful thing.
Nice.
Your network is your net worth. And that is so true. If you have a very, very, very strong network, because they're aware of you, they've observed all these positive traits from you, you have an energized network that thinks very highly of you, that is money in the bank. That is your personal equity right there, because you can take that with you. Unlike me, I didn't have any network, per se. It was a speck of, it was a tiny little dot of a network. But if I had a much broader network, when I would have left the federal government contracting industry, then that network, that value, that equity would have gone with me. I wouldn't have left it in the companies that I sold. So it's very portable. So this right here is the process that we created, and the difference between this process and the competitors out there, the other people who are helping people, they just focus on content and mediums, not about what observations that content is. What is the purpose of that content? Well, that purpose of the content is to influence your network members to advocate on your part. So, here are some of the examples that are talking about. This doesn't make sense, but these are just examples of each one. Here, let me see if I can move this out of the way a little bit.
I'd like to highlight what you just said. It's not
Mhm.
it's not directly to the whatever that end one was called. It's not directly to the goal. It's not directly to that one person. It's indirect. The board of
That's right.
directors. Yep. It's you're thinking 3 moves out, right? Like
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it can't be about you and your goals, because that makes you look bad. That's not
yes, sir.
then you look egotistical. Then you look like it's all about you, and that is not an observation that you want anybody in your network to see. But this is a little bit more realistic example of what this is. So let's see. Let me go down to the next one if I can. Let me just keep on doing that. There we go. So what you're really doing is you're really creating a process map for each observation that you want a particular network type to have. So let's just say your goal is to become a CEO of a company. Well, who are the people who are hiring CEOs? Boards of directors, executive search firms, owners of businesses, of private businesses, those on. But let's just look at the network. If one of the observable traits that you would want a boards of directors to have of you is that you have strong character. So now the question is how in the world do you give them that observation? Well, let's say, for example, you launch a nonprofit organization that's related, to these advocates. Let's just say, you're in the defense contracting industry. Well, maybe you want to launch a nonprofit that deals with veterans, or national security or something like that. So what would be the content? Well, you'd be able to, through your nonprofit organization, man, the content that you'd be promulgating is advocacy of issues. You could be promoting all the positive impact. This is like soft bragging, like, hey, we had this great event where we helped 200 veterans transition from from uniform into their civilian careers by giving them the skill or whatever it is. And then what you can do is you're also highlighting your leadership success. Now, what mediums are you using? Well, your nonprofit was going to have a LinkedIn page. It probably should have a newsletter. You should list your nonprofit on your LinkedIn page. You should have a website for your nonprofit organization. You should be doing a lot of press releases about what you're doing with it. And who doesn't like a person who's going out of their way to help disabled veterans? And like all these boards of directors, that's the same pool that they're swimming in too. And those are the causes that are near and dear to their hearts, because most of those people are probably former military themselves. And so that's how you do that. But it's not the only. You're also getting other observations from that. You're showing that you have influence, that you're committed to the community, that you have executive leadership, all those as well. But we targeted this just to show character. Now, let's just say you've got 5 different types, or let's just use the example that we had previously. We have 3 different network types, and you want each one of these network types to have 5 different observations of you. Well, then we would be coming up and doing this 3 times 5, 15 times to make sure that all of your content is being purposefully created to achieve the desired outcome of a desired observation by network type who can help you achieve your goal. I tell you, and there's nobody else is doing this. And some of these companies they're charging up to $100K, to help people create strong personal brands, and they're not even coming close to aligning what they're doing to actually the achievement of a goal. That's on you, but that's the hardest part.
Just dust
In my opinion, creating, solid content over the appropriate mediums, that's in my opinion, that's probably the easier of the the easy, what are the more easy things to do on this. So
you spoke to some there. I'd like to highlight national security. Your background is in national security. Our process is not cheesy. It is not the average. If you look around, if our audience was able to pick up on why we are different, how we are different, we are different. You said you learned your lessons in the national security space. A significant portion of my 29,000 followers are White House. Our process speaks to the top 1%, right? It's
yeah,
it's not
it
the
is.
cat videos. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like I said, what we're doing is we would define that the group of people that we can help is truly the 1%. The people who and they're 1%. Well, they're 1% potential, but they haven't cracked the code on how to achieve it yet. Is what it really is. But we're not out for that teenage guy or gal who's doing TikTok dances to see how many followers that they can get. That's not what we're doing.
I can dance, but
Yeah. Yeah. I would probably go viral for all the wrong reasons if I did that. But no, this is tailored towards career success, whether that be entrepreneurial, whether or not that be professional success, whether that be climbing the corporate ladder, becoming a published author, becoming a keynote speaker. Like I said, this is highly effective for professional and personal coaches and independent consultants because their entire business is 100% tied to their brand. So it can give opportunities. For example, you're tied to that 9-to-5 job. All the knowledge that's in your head. If you branded yourself appropriately, you could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars pretty easily as a professional coach.
Yes, sir.
You just gotta be known as hey, he's an expert in that. And if you do that, your reputation is going to sell you. And here's the other thing about this, and I don't want to be negative, but there's a lot of people out there that are a lot less successful from a credential and a work history wise than many of us are, who are achieving a lot more than us. And it's because they have a stronger reputation, but their resume is a lot weaker. Now think about what I just said. They have weaker resumes, but stronger reputations. And that's how they're getting, all this success. So, I kind of finally got frustrated and say, damn it, my resume is just as strong as anybody else's. And, I need to let people know about that. And the way you let people know about your capabilities is through your professional reputation, your brand, So anyway, that's kind of where I think we're a little bit different than most in our approach, because if you're looking for clicks, you're going to get clicks. But the people who are going to be clicking, or the people who, God forbid, are going to see your content are not going to have the kind of observations you need them to have. They're probably going to have the exact opposite.
Oh my gosh, I'm a sucker for feng shui, and we got 12 minutes before we're on the top of the hour. Oh my gosh, we should take the opportunity to kind of highlight the pain point. What we're talking about is not magic. It is not mystical. Like you don't have to crawl into a cave Indiana Jones style to find some secret relic. Anybody can do this. Here's the kicker. Given enough time, anybody can do this. Given enough mistakes, enough resources. Like if you're willing to dig your way to the center of the earth, a spoon would work. If you had enough time, and that's what we're talking about right here. Like our value add, what our experience. I'm trying to think of a way to articulate, because it's what I'm describing.
Well, it accelerates it,
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Well, this is I'm going to talk to the entrepreneurs out there, but it's actually the same for every single professional type out there. This is everybody's career trajectory. It's flat, starting to get some success, and then you grow vertically. And people do not go from, they don't become a janitor at Apple or Microsoft or Google or wherever and grow literally to that CEO position. Same way with, I'll even say the military. The fastest promotions are going from like 1-star to 2-star, 2-star to 3-star, 3-star to 4-star. Those are your fastest promotions. It's crazy, but that's what, like, whoo, that's when it really kicks in for people. It's when they start having success, because nothing breeds success like success. But until you actually start having the kind of success that's relevant or close to your goal achievement, it's flat. So what, I think what we're proposing is, instead of having a learning curve of about this much, flat, 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 and I tell people in Government Contracting Academy, the whole purpose of Government Contracting Academy is to take the 8 years that it took me to learn how to be successful in this industry and compress that to 8 weeks for you. And that's what I do in Government Contracting Academy. And it's the same way with personal branding.
Yes,
take that 8-year journey or however many years journeys it would take you to figure it out and to create that personal brand, and allow us to help you compress that to months. And because the value, the investment that you make in yourself stays with you, and it's like the best investment going. And I got 4 sons, and I am like pounding my sons right now for this right here. They think it's a meritocracy. Well, Dad, if I get this credential, if I get this something else, and like, yeah, that's good and wonderful, but that credential is only going to help you for that particular type of job. That is it. You got a personal brand, a strong reputation where people believe that you're a leader, that people believe that they can trust you, that you're reliable, that you deliver, that you've got influence, that other people think highly of you, that you're giving back to the community and all this kind of stuff. That travels with you. It doesn't matter what job, what company, what type of employer you're looking at. If people Google you and you look like you're walking on water, you're going to get the job. You're going to get that opportunity. And, in my opinion, personal branding has become more important than anything else. And I know, and I just thought of this, and if I don't blurt it out there, Jonathan, I'm going to forget it. Yeah. We now live in an age where a lot of younger folks, people at my age, we never had an opportunity to screw up. But now the younger folks, I would say maybe Jonathan and younger, the internet has been around for much of their lives, where they've had the opportunity to screw up their brand, screw it up. And that does not go away either. That does not go away.
As a hiring agent, I
know. So the deal is you need to make sure that best case scenario, for a lot of folks, their personal brand's not hurting them. That's like, you got to make sure that that's the first hurdle you got to come over. Is like, am I doing anything that's hurting me online? And then the next thing you do, you gotta build something and make it positive. But for a lot of folks out there, their personal brand, it's actually a negative, and it's hurting them, because what their name is now being associated with is not helpful or aligned with their goals.
Oh my gosh. And I would say that's the default. That's the average. It's not unique. Mm-hmm. It's not special. That's the Facebook. Facebook is family stuff. Facebook is social kind of stuff. And if you don't have professional things to dilute that social stuff, that picture of that barbecue with you holding a drink in your hand, that's what me as a hiring manager, I'm going to find it. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah, you gotta push that stuff down. You really do. And there's nothing wrong with it. We've all, if you're not having a beer at a barbecue, you're probably not doing something right in your life. But
we're talking about the 1%, not the 99%.
That's right. You got to set yourself up. I'll say this too. I have an opportunity to work with a lot of crazy successful people, and as you do as well, Jonathan. And if you want to be, and you have a great saying about this too. But if you want to be in the top 1%, you got to start acting like it, and you got to start projecting it, and that's your personal brand. And the good thing about this is, and this is coming from a book. Oh man, I'm so glad my son recommended a book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Yep. Yeah, we were just talking about this the other day, and he says, "Oh, that's the best book ever." And I read the title, Atomic Habits. Okay. Tiny little habits can make a big impact. That's what the book's about. Like, okay, I got it, son. Yeah, I'll read it. Yeah, sure. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And then he kept on pushing me. I'm like, no, Dad, you really got to do that. And I'm so glad I did, because even though he kept on, there's that element of the book where it says, tiny little habits can have, big changes because they compound, all that kind of stuff. What he was really saying is if you want to be a successful person, let's say you want to be a healthy person, don't tie that to losing 40 pounds. Tie that to living the way a healthy person would live today. It has nothing to do. You can't claim that title yet because you haven't lost 40 pounds, Randy. That's the old way of thinking. But you know what you can do? You can say, today I'm going to be a healthy person. And you can say, I'm going to live like a healthy person starting today. And then you can have immediate success doing that, because that is the number one mental barrier that, that people have. Oh, I can never be in the top 1% because I'm not there yet, because I have to make $1 million. And you're like, no, start acting like the 1%. And let me tell you something, over time, it's going to happen.
Just act like you belong.
That's right. If you live, if you act like the person you want to become, you'll become that person. You don't have to wait, for things that you got to fix or improve and all this kind of stuff to take effect, like maybe like losing a little weight or getting in better shape. No, you're able to be that person today, and you're contributing to your long-term success and short-term success, because you can start having short-term success as of that.
Oh my gosh. We are in our last 4 minutes here. And, I think we should offer a call to action, or definitely end with a call to action. And then, that last
our webinar. Hell, our webinar.
On the 9th. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we didn't even bring that up. You want to talk about that a little bit, Jonathan?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh my gosh. We have another webinar. We have a webinar coming up on the 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern. Oh my gosh. I will have to pull it up. Keep talking while I pull it up on my side. So
So here, now we're tag teaming this right here. So here's the situation. What we're doing here is we're having a weekly discussion, and what we're trying to do is just raise awareness. This is us just kind of giving back to the community, and trying to help people create their personal brand. What we're doing on the on our webinar on next Thursday on the 9th is it's going to be a little bit more structured. It's going to be, we're actually going to provide like concrete specific tips on how to do that. This is more of a
new year.
That's right. How to implement it today.
2025. Your year.
2025. Make it your year. And so that's what we're doing so we're having discussions where we're talking about issues associated, and we're going to be a little bit all over the place in these discussions. But during our webinar, it's going to be a little bit more structured, where you can actually take notes and like, oh my gosh, I need to do X and then Y and then Z and then A and then B, and then, so it'll be a little bit more instructive. And we also have some some good things about the webinar too. There's going to be some freebies and some other stuff too that we're going to throw in on that too. So, but yeah.
Similar. Oh my gosh, I just name drop Alex Hormozi, where he provides a ton of value, and then when I think it's 3 million, when the company gets up to 3 million a year, that's when we kind of have that vibe going on here, right? Like, it's the executives that are worried. The more worried you are about risk, the more worried you are about putting out a bad post or a post that's might be uncomfortable, the more our value proposition shines. Or I'm not sure how to say that, but that's the big difference on between the free content, the webinars, and then the paid. We shortened that curve. Why? Because we did it. Look us up.
Yeah. Well, the deal is like we're also operating this as a social impact company, because I'm not doing this. I don't have a video.
It looks good. It looks good. It looks on purpose.
Oh, there we go. My camera switches back and forth. I have no idea where
it's set up. Yeah.
It's going to be in my ear one time, and then in my nose on the next. But the deal is we're operating Create Personal Equity as a social impact company. We have two goals. One is a financial one, because we want to remain a viable company to that this service continues to go on and on and on, even without us. And we have to make it a viable company so so we could turn it over to somebody and say, hey, you don't have to volunteer your time, and you don't have to eat ramen 3 times a day in order to be able to do this. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is this is the real purpose behind both of us wanting to do this. Man, there is a void in the market. This is our opportunity, for karma here, and we get to give back a little bit, because we both have benefited from the success of having a personal brand, and
we figured it out.
Give back. Yeah, it's kind of like this. It's like if you have success and you're not willing to share it, karma doesn't look too positively on that. And now Jonathan's a little younger than I am, but I'm at that point right now where I'm starting to think about legacy. What do I want to be known for? I want to be known for making a lot of money, or do I want to be known for the impact that I've had, helping out a community? So, for me, that's my primary motivator, is to kind of help out a community of people, help pull people up, up a mountain towards your goal. So that's, we're a company, but at the same time, that's not our only driving purpose. We are predominantly more socially inclined, and that's why we're doing the free content every single week. That's why we're doing the free webinars. But we also do offer a service, and that service is priced right now at 50% less than what our competitors are doing, and we feel like it's providing a hell of a value and benefit to the clients that we're presently helping. So.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
a lot.
Maybe well, we're at time here. The New Year's. Speaking of 50% off, why we are doing it, why this meeting, why the timing of everything is taking place right now. It's New Year's. That is a big deal. That is worth we're at time, but like, it's not an accident that we're doing this all on the New Year's. Right? Like,
it's so true. It's kind of like getting back to Atomic Habits.
Oh my gosh,
could be a year. It won't be a day. Don't be the person that you want to be this year. Because creating a personal brand, it takes a little bit longer than a day. But be the person that you want to be in 2025. And having a strong personal brand is going to help you with any professional goals that you have. And also sets a good example for your kids and those type of things as well. And it's value that you keep with you. It stays with you. You're actually creating personal equity. And because it's not about the brand, that's because when we were thinking about naming our company, and we were thinking about what our process is going to be, at the end of the day, we thought, like, this is about creating equity within ourselves, within the person that we're helping. And because that is transferable, it's not tied to a goal or a job. It's tied to them. And I think that's the best investment that you can make. And that's one that you make in yourself, because your personal brand, you're making yourself more valuable, not just for that one particular goal, but for any goal, that you decide to pursue.
I'm we're in the closing thoughts portion here. I'm going to say something, then I'm going to toss it back to you for that last closing thought. You mentioned your cousin that passed away, and his name populating higher in the search results after you sold your company, like after you were at that peak, and you walked out and found that you were facing this problem. Here's a thought. We're talking about legacy, right? Yeah. So your dead cousin populated higher in the search results because he did something that caused that, right? The branding that we're talking about, what we're talking about will outlive you, right?
That's so true. Right? That is so true. That is so true. Your personal brand. Oh my gosh, your personal brand is how you're going to be remembered too. It's kind of like your legacy. So if you want to be if you want to be recognized as a thought leader, in your industry, whatever you put on the content. Now, a lot of this is temporal.
Your kids are going to see it. Your grandkids.
Yeah, that's it. So. I never really looked at it that way, Jonathan, but you're absolutely correct. That, like, whatever you do is going to outlive yourself in many regards. So go ahead.
Well, I'm going to set you up a closing thought. The one takeaway we would like our audience to have here. We are at a minute or an hour and 4 minutes, and then the last thought.
Oh, last thought.
Oh my gosh, bringing it on.
Well, here's the deal. If you don't take action, right now, then you won't do it for the rest of the year.
Oh my gosh. Nice.
And I really mean that, because if you don't have a change agent, and for many, the best change agent in the world is either a birthday or a new year, where you got a clean slate. This is the year, whether it's your age or it's your calendar year. If you don't take advantage of that tremendous opportunity, because you've only got 2 in a year, where you can use that as a change agent. Say, this is the year that's going to be different. This is the year that I am going to achieve my goals. This is the year that I'm going to pursue my goals, because it's so much easier to kick a goal down the street and say, well, I'll get around to it. Ready. So that would be it. 2025, that's your year.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow. High five. That was awesome. That was great. Well, thank you for everybody that's able to attend. I will pass along information. I'm going to pass along the stats. And then we discussed the branding assessment also. I will reach out to everybody that signed up here. If you know somebody else that could benefit from what we're doing, everybody can benefit, right? But if you know somebody else that should benefit from what we're doing, pass along our info, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you all. 2025 going to be epic.
Totally agree.
Yes, sir.